Pop Culture Pastor.
we were just talking off the air. We tend to do that. The intersection between the end of DJ's show and the beginning of ours often results in a traffic jam, and we start talking about just things, and we almost miss the start of the show.
It happens
because we get to talk, and DJ and I can talk for just hours. We did the other morning.
Yeah,
we literally talked for 4 hours. It was crazy. Anyways, we were just talking about like dudes in the church and guns, and how we don't get it.
Yeah,
like they. And I don't mean like owning guns. I mean like the things they do for fun. Oh yeah. You should come out. We're all the men of the church are meeting on Saturday. We're gonna do some skeet shooting.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, I'll probably pass. But like, what? You ever fired a gun? Like, yeah.
It's okay.
I don't get anything from it. What is that? What is that with dudes?
I don't know. I guess you can make it competitive. Like, oh, I hit this many and you missed that one. How embarrassing. Well, and like I told you, I'd rather just go, like, if we're going to do something competitive and I guess there's shooting involved, let's go laser tagging.
You are this is why I'm glad I found you, because you were the millennial side of my coin. Like, I'm Gen X, you're millennial, but we're pretty much the same person. With the different generational vibes, right? Mm-hmm. And this, we're like the same. We're like, I just don't get it. I don't understand.
Like, we can do Ultimate or Street Fighter.
Yeah, we can play a first-person shooter on the Xbox.
Yeah,
where I'm shooting on a video game. That sounds fun.
I have a Nintendo 64. If you have GoldenEye, we can be down to clown.
We go right to our generational favorite video game consoles, because I'm just like, I loved Contra on the Nintendo. Up, down, left, right, BA, whatever. Anyways, this is the Pop Culture Pastor radio show. And there was a lot of pop culture there that was rapid firing.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens sometimes. Mainly, we're here to talk in between some music sometimes. And this is KVX. It's the home of the new Christian music. So stay tuned. All right, Kane, I've been waiting all week to talk about this with you. It had to be with you because the setting and all of this stuff, there's like just the setting alone has this Americana. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to Americana type things, I love talking about it with you because you don't have the built-in, I don't want to say prejudices, but you don't have the built-in way. Like, there's a certain way we're raised to think about America and Americana, right? And in this case, it's very much a cultural Americana. And I'm talking about the culture of the shopping mall.
Yeah.
So, but you're about my age, so you remember certainly that there was a time when shopping malls were king. Mm-hmm. Maybe. Was that a thing in New Zealand? Did you have...
We had shopping malls, but I kind of grew up in a smaller city, which didn't have a shopping mall. So I was aware of them. Mm-hmm. And I was aware of that kind of culture from movies and things like that, but never really had that thing where I would go hang out at the shopping mall with my friends.
Yeah,
while growing up, that just wasn't a thing.
So the town I lived in, by the time I was a teenager, we didn't really have that kind of a shopping mall either. I kind of wish we did, but even by the time I'm a teenager, the idea of that is already kind of dying out. Mm-hmm. So, because by the time I'm in my late teens, it's the early 90s, not the 80s, which is that kind of sweet spot decade where the mall would have been a thing.
Yeah.
But the idea of it always seemed so lovely to me, so attractive. And because I was an 80s kid, have you ever had an Orange Julius?
No, I have not.
So in the mall in Topeka when I was a kid, what I remember about it was there was like the little hut in the middle of the mall that was the Orange Julius. Mm-hmm. And it was like this frozen orange juice slushy thing. I can't even really describe it. It was like it had a creaminess to it too. Like, so they clearly added milk or something. And I don't know. It was just delightful.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the mall, and I remember the lady, the piano. There was the piano store where the lady would be playing Christmas tunes around Christmas. Because for some reason, there was something different about going to a mall when you were shopping for Christmas. I remember crying because my mom wouldn't get me a toy at KB Toys. I have these kind of vivid memories about the mall. And so that's neither here nor there. I'm just getting you ready for this discussion because what I want to talk about took place at the Mall of America. It's sort of like a cathedral to the religion of the mall.
It's like the biggest mall in the world or something like that, right?
It's absurdly large.
Yeah.
Like there's like 8 levels.
Yeah.
So imagine like a mall, like imagine 8 malls stacked on top of each other. Mm-hmm. That's sort of like the Mall of America. Mm-hmm. And it's very much, when you're there, I took my oldest daughter there here a few years back. And when you're there, it's very much like you're paying homage to something of yesteryear. Mm-hmm. But there's real stores and there's real shopping. And I don't know, just like any mall, I'm pretty sure it's more expensive than if you just got it online.
Yeah, totally.
But there's a lot of humanity there. There's a lot of people. There's like an amusement park in the center of it, like inside the mall.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to see a roller coaster inside a building.
Yeah. And you know it's big when there's an amusement park with roller coaster indoors.
So large. Such a large place. Okay. Well, I'm just kind of setting the scene for you because something happened there. When you get this much humanity together, something's always happening there.
Yeah.
This is not the first time we've talked about a happening at the Mall of America on this radio show, but it might be the first thing that has something kind of overtly to do with Jesus and Jesus followers. All right. So we're at the Mall of America, Minneapolis, Minnesota, I think. I don't know. Is that where it's at?
Sounds right.
And there's a viral video out there, Bloomington, Minnesota. Sorry. At the Mall of America.
I knew it was in Minnesota.
It all got caught on video because that's what we do when we see
something going down.
An event.
Yeah.
Something's happening here. What's happening here? And as you watch the video, you see a black man. He's got some, maybe some dreadlocks or something. He's got longer hair, cool hair, like hair I wish I could grow, but I can't because I have terrible hair. And he's wearing a like neon yellow shirt, like the kind of shirt that says, I don't care how ugly this looks. I just want you to look at it. Mm-hmm. Right. You're trying to draw attention to yourself with a shirt this color. And on the front of the shirt, it says, Jesus saves. And you're like, okay, right. It's a pretty innocuous shirt. I don't think most people wouldn't bat an eye at that. I'm assuming at the Mall of America. On the back of the shirt, it says, Jesus is the only way. And then, you know, that coexist logo that people like to put on their cars sometimes, like a bumper sticker, and a coexist is spelled with all these religious symbols, like in the place of letters. Mm-hmm. It has a giant X through it.
Right.
Okay. So there, I've set the scene. That's the shirt he's wearing. Mm-hmm. We'll get to that later. He's approached by security guards and they give him a choice. Take off the shirt or get out of the mall. And in the video, the shopper, he's wearing this shirt. The officer claims the shopper is engaging in religious soliciting. So that's kind of the side piece of this, that maybe he's not just letting his t-shirt doing the talking. He's also trying to do some proselytizing maybe, which the mall specifically has rules against. All right. Now, this article, which I tend to believe because this is a neutral article, it says the man didn't speak to anyone, according to bystanders. Mm-hmm. They just came at him because of the shirt. In the video, the officer says this. He says, Jesus is associated with religion and it's offending people. People have been offended.
Yeah.
Like, calm down, Paul Blart. You're walking wearing that shirt in the form of soliciting, and we've had guests come up and say they're offended by your shirt. Do you believe that? Was there anyone in the mall because someone was wearing a Jesus Save shirt that was offended, or did they see what was on the back?
Yeah, I think I think it's possible that people would have complained,
Okay.
but I think it's a byproduct of this whole offense culture, where I'm offended by you, so you must be wrong, and you have to fix it so that I'm not offended anymore, rather than people just seeing something, going, "Yeah, I don't agree," and moving on.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, the jury is still out on whether people would have actually complained, or whether it's just a made up thing from the security guard just to try and reinforce his case.
Yeah. So here's just my reaction to this on the surface, just to the event. My reaction to the event is, oh boy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Totally.
Like literally people have gone into the Mall of America with guns and shot things up. That's a place where a mass shooting has happened, if I'm not mistaken. That's also a place where someone pushed people over rails. People he didn't know. He just did it to do it. And someone died. So the Mall of America is a place where some terrible things have happened. And you're going to kick this guy out of your mall for wearing a t-shirt that says Jesus on it. Like, so on the surface, I'm like, okay. But then the reaction hits. Now I'm fascinated, Kane, because we do this thing that's very interesting to me, is it goes to one of the other extremes. So on one hand, I'm trying to put myself in this guy's position. First of all, I would have never wore that t-shirt. The coexist with the X through it, with all the religious symbols, is a weird flex for a Christian. Yeah, I know that Jesus is the only way. But it's funny that wasn't what Jesus led with. And he's going to people, like he goes constantly to the Samaritans. You know those Gentiles the Bible's always talking about? Yeah, they're of other faiths. They're of other religions. The Roman soldiers who believe, like, think about the guy who's there at the crucifixion, and it says the Roman soldier believed that this surely must have been the Son of God. It's weird because Jesus didn't make that point to him.
Yeah.
He was just around him and experienced. Like he didn't say, by the way, you're going to hell unless you believe in me.
Yeah.
He didn't say that to him. It just happens when you're around him. For a guy in Jesus who was constantly trying to be around people who weren't of his faith, and by the way, tells you to love your enemies and pray for them. It's weird that you would be against coexisting with people who don't think what you think. That's a weird flex for a Christian, in my opinion. So the shirt is ridiculous. The Jesus saves part's great. That part is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, in many respects, it's kind of designed to get a rise out of people. Right?
Yes. And
it's
that's
designed to offend.
What the security guard did was ridiculous. But you've opened the door to the reason, like you've opened the door, you've cracked the door to he might have a point. Right? Which is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why would you do that? Why? Okay, so this guy wears this shirt in the Mall of America. It says, it's neon green. You're supposed to look at it. It says Jesus saves on the front. But on the back, it has the coexist kind of thing we're familiar with, where coexist is spelled with all these different religious symbols of different religions. And it's got an X through it. Like, no coexisting. And it says, Jesus is the only way. And then he's kicked out of the Mall of America. The viral video has caused outrage online. This Christian follower said, I automatically assumed this was overseas, but it's right here in America. This person says, I'm not even a Christian, but this is crazy. A guy got kicked out of a mall of America for wearing a Jesus Save shirt. This is unacceptable. This person says, mall cop, a.k.a. Paul Blart, asks man to take off his shirt before he can shop because the shirt is offending people. This is stupid. Franklin Graham eventually weighs in because, of course, he does. Don't get me started. But, it's Franklin Graham, so I'm going to tell you what he said. He says, Jesus saves. I love the message on this man's T-shirt, but the Mall of America didn't. Security guards approached him and told him to take the shirt off or leave. One guard is on video saying Jesus is associated with religion and it's offending people. So Franklin conveniently ignores the thing on the back of the shirt, which I think is the issue here. Here's my point, Kane. why do we have to go one way or the other? Why do we have to be so extreme? Why do I have to look at this as a Christian and say, oh, the outrage! This man was doing nothing wrong, which, okay. But to say the shirt's completely innocuous isn't really being honest. What was on the back of the shirt coexists with the spellings, with the letters being the different symbols of different religions, with having an X through it. You're intentionally trying to rile people up, which is really weird for a Christian, again, because I'm kind of living in that part of the scripture that says, as far as it beeth you, live at peace with everyone, which sounds a lot like coexisting. Love your enemies and pray for them is what Jesus told you to do, not proselytize.
Show them
at every turn.
It's kind of like showing them the truth through your actions and through your relationship with them.
Yeah.
As opposed to just speaking at them and being wrong, even though you're saying the truth and the right things, but the way you're saying it makes it wrong.
Yeah. But on the other hand, hey, mall cop guy, let's settle down.
Yeah.
Come on. In the realm of offensive t-shirts, you're going to tell me that this shirt was offending people, but not the Budweiser King of Rears shirt? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I guarantee there's been way more offensive t-shirts in your mall than that.
Yeah, totally.
And that's what I want to get at. Why can't both things be true? Why do we have to side up in some version of our political war? That's the thing now. We have to side up and be point fingers the other direction. Why can't we say that, number one, that mall security guys got a little antsy, little feeling themselves.
A little overzealous.
Hey, fellas, let's relax. That's ridiculous. Come on. That's just dumb. But also, hey, dude, wearing the Jesus Saves shirt. Hey, you had me at Jesus Saves. I think that's a fine shirt. But when you put that thing on the back, it became a dumb t-shirt because then it doesn't even match up biblically. It matches up with the part you want it to match up with, but it totally takes some things, other things Jesus said, and throws them out the window. So your shirt is dumb. So why can't both those things be true? That the security guards were being dumb and that his shirt was dumb. Can't we just be honest?
Yeah.
About a situation instead of being no, Dave, Franklin Graham says we have to win this argument. No, we don't. There's no argument to be had. They were both acting ridiculous. Yeah, you don't have to say anything. And maybe there's no response to be had here because I'm sure, look, if you're involved in this, if you're heavy into this place where you're leaning into righteousness, you're probably disagreeing with me right now. No, Dave, it's important that we stand up for Jesus, which, is weird because these are the same people who make sure that Jesus is coming back with a sword. And I'm I'm going to stand up for him. Seems like he's got it.
Yeah.
I just get confused with the messaging. That's all.
Yeah. I think it's important that we don't pick and choose what we like about the Bible.
Yeah.
And pick and choose what Jesus said. And that we take everything into consideration. So yeah, I have to admit, when I first saw this article, because I saw it and I've kind of read the headlines, I didn't really watch the video. I just kind of assumed that they were getting all worked up and offended at the guy walking around with the Jesus Saves t-shirt. I didn't realize that there was this other thing on the back of his shirt, which is, I think I would agree that it's probably the real problem. And I think most people would, or a lot of people would, look at this article and look at the story and kind of be of the same mind of they get the, he's getting persecuted for walking around with the Jesus Saves t-shirt. But I think you're right. I think there's probably a bigger issue here with the other things that was on his shirt. Jesus saves, absolutely. Jesus is the only way, of course, on the back of his shirt. People shouldn't get offended at that, but yeah, I can totally see how the coexist symbol with being crossed out is is kind of designed to get a rise out of people and designed to offend. And I'm not sure that that's the best way to go about spreading the truth.
Dude, wear your shirt that says Jesus saves proudly. And just let it. And here's the funny thing is you don't even have to proselytize with that. Like people are going to take that in, whether they consciously take it in or subconsciously take it in, they're going to take it in.
Yeah.
That's all you want. But the minute he put that other thing on his shirt, it's just like, well, then you're getting into that place where we talk about a lot on the show. When has you arguing someone into submission ever led them to Christ?
Yeah.
I want to know, when has that happened?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you wear the shirt that says Jesus saves on the front, but on the back it says coexist is crossed out with all the religious symbols. How many people has that converted for you? How's that working out?
Yeah.
So far the tally is you got thrown out of the Mall of America. That's not a good look. That's not a good look. And then you got people, the Christian celebrities start weighing in, like Franklin Graham, and then they conveniently leave out the ridiculousness on the back of the shirt. It's like, at that point, you didn't not know. You didn't not see that. You're just choosing to ignore it. Why? Because it hurts your righteousness argument. like, come on. We're not dumb.
Yeah.
And people aren't dumb. They see what you're doing. Stop it. This is my problem with the way we act as Christians in America, especially. We pretend like we can do the same thing our enemies do. We can get down in the muck and argue the way they argue. And it's like, no, Jesus is calling you to something higher. That's the whole deal. That's why he says, pray for your enemies. Why? Because your enemies don't pray for you.
Yeah.
You have to look different. And when you're doing stuff like this on in the mall with that shirt, and then you're defending it by not conveniently not pointing out the part that was probably rubbing people the wrong way. You're being just like your enemy.
Yeah.
He didn't call you to act just the way they did. He called you to pray for them and love them. Like, come on. What happened to taking the high road, Kane? What happened to that? I knew that. I didn't even go to church. Okay, Cody. We need to talk about something. Well, I want to talk about something because I just don't get it.
Okay.
It's something I don't understand. And I would say that maybe it's because I'm an American that I couldn't understand it. But plenty of Americans seem to go gaga over the royal family.
I am familiar with the royals, yes.
Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, is selling 1.4 million copies in a day. Which is a record, according to the publisher.
No, I'm not buying it. I'm just going to tell you now.
That was pretty declarative. And I'm with you because, can I say I just don't get it? I don't understand the whole Harry and Meghan fascination or the fascination with any of them, really. I don't find them to be all that interesting other than their mom died when they were young because of this same thing I'm talking about, which I don't get. This fascination with them. The only thing that's interesting to me in all of this is Harry and Meghan said, we don't want this life. We're not about this life. And then came over here and said, we're totally about this life. We're going to do all the celebrity things. So that part I'm kind of fascinated with because I'm like, hypocrites, humans. Am I right?
I just keep thinking that in 1776, we declared independence for a reason, so then I wouldn't have to worry about the monarchy.
Okay, let's just take Harry for what he is, Prince Harry. Is he Prince anymore or no?
I think he had to reduce his title.
Okay.
When he declared independence of his own and went to Canada.
Let's just look at his life in and of his activities and decipher something about him. So he served in the military for a few years.
Yeah.
And he's married. And he has a kid. Children.
The one thing that came out that I was, I guess, maybe a little in arms about just because of our immigration policy as a country and how hypocritical we are as a country is within the memoir that he released that he approved of, because it has come out that he had ghostwriters that helped him write it. Is that there is some drug use from one Prince Harry, and that within this country, this would get any other immigrant kicked out. This would be an easy, oh, you're from Mexico? Go back.
Yeah.
And, oh, we get to live it up? We get to rake in millions of dollars of American money, live in America, get American publicity, and not suffer any consequences.
Yeah. I want to get into that specifically. I want to get into that specifically when we come back. Stay tuned. Okay. Specifically, the thing that I think is kind of bugging me about Harry and Meghan is when they were part of the royalty in England, and he's giving interviews, he's saying how hard his life has been, and I'm on board because I'm in ministry. I'm a follower of Jesus. I'm being empathetic, and I understand. I'm like, dude, that must have been hard. That must have been a hard life. And you say, like, you don't want that life. You just want the simple life with your wife and your family and your children. And so you come over here, and that's fine. But now you're selling books, and you're on Oprah, and you're doing all these interviews, and you clearly still want this life, but you're still trying to play up like, but this happened to me, and this happened to me. I'm like, dude, everyone has tragedy.
Unfortunately.
Everyone's touched by the brokenness of the world, and it makes me feel like he's just trying to use his background to say it's tragic so he can live this life. And you're just like, I don't know. There's something about all of this that makes me kind of sick to my stomach, because I'm just like, you're still perpetuating something to kids that this is the life to be sought after, because you can't leave it.
So I think I know why he has said that he was seeking out the simple life, and you're seeing the actions that he's currently doing. It's because he probably watched The Simple Life with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, and saw that their simple life looked quite a bit still like a celebrity lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, that appears to be what they wanted. Was no. They still very much wanted to be celebrities. They still very much wanted to live in comfort without ever having to do like look. Most people across this country woke up this morning, their alarm went off. They got out of bed. They probably made this kind of a noise.
Yep.
And they went off to their jobs, which they don't like. They didn't even have time to go over the anxiety and the stress in their marital situations or in their relationship with their children. They go to work a job that they don't want to, like, listen, there are coal miners in this country. There are all these, like, there's just all these things. You got kids in Southeast Asian countries working for $1 a day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just don't, like, I guess what I'm saying is like, I find this kind of gross. I find it kind of gross to hear someone in this background, because I wanted to feel for him.
Yeah.
I did. I wanted to feel for him. And I think being a royal person in England, that must be a hard life. Like, look, full stop. It's probably very, very difficult to grow up that way. It's probably very, very difficult to live life that way, because you're a figurehead, you're a celebrity and everyone knows you don't really do anything, but you're constricted. It's not like growing up in the royal family in England allows you to do whatever you want to do. You can't go out and be a normal kid. So that is hard. But then he devised a way to get out of that life while still retaining the financial comfort of it all.
Yeah.
And doubling down on the celebrity. And I'm just sitting here like, bro, don't tell me your problems anymore.
So I also kind of wonder if they keep doing these things just because I don't know if they think that they have the expectation of having to keep doing things within the public eye or keep having to have a voice for the quote unquote people. But I mean, you do see that they try to make stands on things of political nature, things of environmental nature. I mean, and so the way that you keep, I guess, your clout is you gotta at least be visible within this country. And so the easiest way to do that is to do whatever it is that makes you a celebrity. So if it's giving interviews and dishing about your royal family lineage, then I guess you keep doing that.
Yeah. And right. Like, so now I want to kind of relent on that and be like, okay, he's just doing what he does. I want to shift the conversation
Okay.
to us. So, Cody, we live in a town of 8,000 here in Southeast Kansas.
Give or take.
And I'm sure that this is not going to be an abnormal story for you or anyone else.
Okay.
There's a guy in my church, older guy. And he's lived life. He's a nice guy. There's nothing particularly exciting about him.
Ouch.
No. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that, he's not Prince Harry.
Yeah.
He's not a celebrity. But I would listen to him tell his stories over and over and over again. I think about my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma was not a known person in any way. She was just a housewife who lived this life, and I could listen to her tell her stories. And in fact, I don't think it was just because I loved her. I think anybody could have listened to her stories and been enamored and wonder and been sad at the tragic parts and been flying, emotionally through the happy parts. And there are people, everyone's got a story that deserves to be listened to. And so I think about this Prince Harry's book selling all these copies, and I think this is on us. Really, there's people around us at any given time who have a story, but yet we're so enamored with Prince Harry, who, look, he's not that interesting. In his memoir, he details what led to him and wife Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, to ultimately step down as full-time working members of the royal family and move to California in 2020. Well, he details what led to him. He'll spin a sad yarn about how he wanted the simple life, but then he comes here and he immediately does a deal with Netflix. They have a deal with Netflix. They're on Oprah. He's been on a promotional blitz, this article says. He's been on 60 Minutes, Good Morning America, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. That was just this week.
Holy guacamole.
So he's doing all this stuff. They have a podcast, which I'm sure has hundreds of millions of listeners, Cody. And I guess that's what I'm saying. There's hundreds of millions of people that want to hear his story. Why? He's pretty simple for me. He's not a complicated person at all. I get what he's after. He's after, the celebrity of life, because that's what he grew up with, and that's not his fault. He's broken too, just like us. And I'm not saying him and Meghan are bad people, but what I am saying is, why are we so interested in it? Why are there podcasts out there with people who are telling their stories who don't have hundreds of? You know what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm getting at? What is it with us? Why are we so attracted to celebrity? Why do we find that interesting over the person next door?
Because I think that for some of us, we're looking to fill a void that should be filled by God. That we're wanting to have something to visually uphold in something to be excited for, or someone to be excited for. But then for the others of us, I think that we do like to see people get built up, so then we can tear them down and be like, you're no better than us. Get out of here.
Yeah. And I know that I might sound like I'm coming off like that, and I don't want that. I don't have any ill will for Harry and Meghan. It's just kind of, it's an odd thing to see because we don't have royalty like England does, although we do, because it's the same thing. Our celebrity worship, it's the same deal. And so it's just interesting. It's fascinating to me to watch all this play out. And for the people who are like, it's even more fascinating, the people who are like, oh, I don't want celebrity. I don't want to be known. And then do the talk show circuit. Because you're just kind of like, okay. There have been real famous people who've done that, who've just disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
So clearly it can be done.
It can, and it probably should be most of the time. I mean, Dave Chappelle disappeared off the face of the earth for several years, and then, oh, he's back.
Yeah.
And then that guy from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Rick Moranis.
Yeah.
Why did he disappear? Because his wife died and he concentrated on his family.
The guy that was in the Goonies and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Ki Hai Kwan, who just won a Golden Globe because he came back to acting.
Yeah. Had disappeared for 30 plus years.
Yeah. It's all very interesting to me. It's very interesting. And I think we should adjust the way we see celebrities. And I think a good place to start for Americans would be the royal family of England. Like, what? Let's ask ourselves, why are we so fascinated with Harry and Meghan? Why?
Yeah.
It's just something interesting to think about. Hey everybody, Dave here. What you have just listened to are bits and pieces of our radio show. We have a radio show on KFEX Firescape Radio located in Chanute, Kansas. You can hear that show from noon to 4 every weekday. So if you want to tune into that, you can go to www.kfex931.com, or you can search KFEX in your app store on your smartphone and find their totally free app there. If you're a fan of Christian music, you might like to listen to our live show when you're at work, or if you're a stay-at-home mom and you like music in the house, you may love to listen to that during the day. So give it a try. We would also direct you to our podcast, Pop Culture Pastor. That's probably why you're listening anyways to this version of what we do. As always, subscribe to the podcast, follow us on our social medias on Facebook and Twitter. It helps us out when you share it, when you review and rate us on our podcast homes. And of course, follow us on social media and share our stuff there. So thank you so much for listening. We love all of you guys so much. We have such a great community of listeners, and we'll see you when the regular pod drops on Friday.